Hi guys, so today I'm here to talk to you guys about my first babysitting job. So I was about 12, yeah, I was 12, and this was in 2004. The date was May 29th of 2004. It was a Saturday and it was Memorial Day weekend. So it all started because I was trying to look for babysitting jobs. I was into babysitting and I took a babysitting class in the 6th grade. I didn't really get any babysitting jobs, but I wanted to just learn about it, like how to babysit and just more about it in detail. So I did that, and I never really, like I said, never really got any jobs or anything like that. So we have this neighbor, this lady, and she moved, but at the time I was 12. She had two kids. They were 3 and 5 at the time. She had a boy and a girl. The girl was 3, the boy was 5. Their names were Joey and Holly, and those are their real names. Okay, so because I know like sometimes on YouTube people don't say like the person's real name, like they'll just make up a name, they'll just give them like a made up name, and I don't know why people do that, but yeah. So anyway, I was babysitting Joey and Holly. So this lady, she basically I was very close with her, very friendly with her. I had a good relationship, like friendly relationship with her. She lived in my neighborhood, I think like before I was even born, I guess. And when we were all outside together, whatever, we would all hang out, and I was friendly with her husband, and I knew her kids, and I was really, I had a good, I guess, neighbor relationship with this family. So one day, I was sitting outside. This is actually a couple days before. And actually, no. It was about like a few months before this happened. So I said to her, I said, hey, if you ever need a babysitter, call me. I'm around, because that's how you kind of like advertise, like, hey, you're looking to babysit. So she said, oh, I will. So she said she would, or she would always like, or she could always, like, because we only lived like a few doors away from each other. So she would always, like, if she needed a babysitter, she could always, stop by. So anyway, I had said that to her, and she never really reached out to me, so I figured maybe she didn't need a babysitter. So I had told her again, I said, hey, I guess you haven't needed a babysitter. And she said, no, I don't really go out much, and it's fine. She doesn't really need a babysitter. She's not the one she did not really want to go out a lot or whatever. So one day, this was like a couple days before this day, I was sitting outside with her, and my mother was outside, and I was helping her do something with one of her cabinets. I was helping her she was like painting her bathroom cabinet, and I wasn't helping her paint, but I was helping her like prepare. So I was sitting outside with her and my mom, and we were all sitting outside, and the next day she actually had something going on, and I was going to be home alone, and my brother was camping he used to do Boy Scouts, so he used to go camping a lot with them. So this was like this. So now we're on the day before the babysitting. So I guess my mother had talked to this lady, and my mother said to me, "Oh, I think Susan might need you to babysit on Saturday. You might be going out with her. Would you want to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can definitely do that." So she's like, "Okay, and she picked me up. She actually, the day of, because my mother had something going on, so I was, alone. So she, the day of the day I was gonna babysit, this lady, she came, picked me up, and at my house, and she showed me where her house was. So we walked, she showed me from where her house was from my house. So we walked there, and I said to her, I was like, yeah, so when I babysit, I'll have to know where to go. And she said, yes. So yeah. And so this is like kind of different from like from your typical babysitting job. So basically what I did was my neighbor, this lady, she had to go to a hair salon. She had to get her eyebrows done and something else. I forget what else, but she had to get her eyebrows done, and she had to go into the room, and the kids couldn't come in the room with her. They were out in the waiting room. They had to sit in the waiting room. So what I did was I came with them, and it was me, her, my neighbor, the lady, and her 2 kids. So I came with her, and I just sat in the waiting room with them while their mother got her hair done and, her eyebrows done. So basically, I was watching, obviously making sure that they didn't do anything that they weren't supposed to. And I was also just telling them, like, so basically this salon that they go to, that their mother goes to, is a place where people go just to relax. And they typically don't like the people that work at the salon, they typically don't like a lot of noise. And you guys, I'm sure as you guys know, kids have a tendency to get too loud, and they get restless when they're bored. So I basically was there, obviously watching the kids, making sure that they weren't doing anything wrong, keeping them entertained. And I was also there to make sure that they weren't being too noisy. And they were fine. They were great. They were whispering to each other. I didn't have to say anything to them. I just sat there, just watched them, and yeah, I didn't have to correct them for anything. They were really good. And she also had talked to me about when you're babysitting, sometimes it's hard to tell when you want to tell the parents about their behavior, and when you don't have to. So, for example, if, say, they were being too loud and I just had to ask them once to keep it down and they listened, then that's fine. I wouldn't need to tell the parents then. But if, say, they were, climbing on the chairs, for example, and I had to ask them 3 times to stop, and then she said, maybe I could threaten to tell the parents, say, hey, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to tell mommy that you didn't listen to me. And then if, obviously if they still didn't stop, then I would tell the parents. So we kind of talked about that, because obviously if I just, say they were being too loud and I had to ask them once, they wouldn't, and then they stopped, well, then there's really no need to tell their parents. So basically, the lady wasn't really, now their mother, she wasn't in the salon for too long. She was only in the salon for about maybe 10-15 minutes. She was in the room, so I was just sitting in the waiting room with them. And yeah, like I said, they were fine. And then after that, we went to a drugstore, and we got a few things. I got some candy, I got some bubble gum, a baby bottle pop, and then this thing in a tube. It's like toothpaste or something, I don't know. But I got candy, and this lady, I also got paid. So she said, how much do you get an hour? And I said, $3, and she gave me $3. So yeah. And I was going to use my babysitting money. She's like, no, don't use your babysitting money, I'll buy it. So that was really nice of her. And I actually remember the little boy I was walking with. Now, the boy was 5. So I was holding his hand, and you got to remember, he was a lot shorter than me. So I had my purse on my shoulder. And my purse was hitting him in the nose. Because he was a lot shorter than me. So he said to me, he's like, oh, you just hit me in the nose with your purse. And I said, your bag. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it. And he's like, oh, well, I sure did feel it. So yeah, so basically that was what happened. So I actually spent my babysitting money a week later. I bought body glitter, something like that. So anyway, I actually spent the weekend with my dad, and I told him about it, and also the next day we went to my aunt's house, and I told all my family about my first babysitting job, and they were really happy, and they were like, oh, how long were they at the salon? And I actually told them I wasn't really at the house with the kids. I was sitting in the waiting room with them. So yeah. So that was basically my first babysitting job. And if there's anything I left out, which I'm sure there is, maybe, you guys can definitely ask questions. if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to leave them down below and I will answer them as best as I can. Let's see. If you know, have any questions, comments, leave them down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a big thumbs up. And I always notice like YouTubers have like a line, like certain lines that they say at the end of their videos. Sometimes like in the beginning too, but mostly at the end, like when they say things like I always say, like, at the end of my videos, I always say, subscribe if you haven't already. Like, that's always something I say, so, or give it a thumbs up. So, yeah, so give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below if you'd like, and I will see you guys in my next video. Alright, bye, everyone.